August 31st, 1943. 15,000 feet above the Solomon Sea. The early morning sun glinted off the metallic fuselage of a Grumman F6F Hellcat as it cut through the humid Pacific air. You feel the vibration through controls, the roar of the Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engine reverberating in your chest. Below, the endless blue of the ocean stretched to the horizon, broken only by the dark outlines of Japanese convoys moving cautiously toward Guadalcanal. Lieutenant Commander David McCampbell, a seasoned U.S. Navy pilot, squinted through his goggles at the approaching enemy fighters. The Mitsubishi A6M Zeros, sleek and agile, glimmered in formation against the rising sun. Japanese pilots laughed among themselves, confident in their nimble Zeros, unaware of the storm approaching from the deck of the USS Essex. The first dogfight erupted with a flash. The Hellcat, heavier and seemingly slower than the Zeros, twisted through the air with surprising agility. The sound of machine guns, 6M2 Browning .50 calibers, ripped through the morning calm. You hear the sharp staccato bursts, the whine of bullets tearing metal, and the terrified shouts of men aboard enemy carriers. McCampbell's eyes locked on the Zero, attempting a diving attack. With a practiced flick of the wrist, he rolled his Hellcat behind the enemy plane. The Zero spun helplessly, trailing smoke as it fell toward the ocean below. Around him, other Hellcats were doing the same, weaving, diving, and climbing in a deadly ballet. Japanese pilots, once smug and taunting, now felt the cold sting of disbelief. Their famed superior fighters were being shredded by a plane they had once mocked for its bulk and weight. Reports later would show the terrifying efficiency. For every Hellcat lost, 13 Zeros fell. The ratio was unprecedented, and the Japanese pilots had no time to process it. They were fighting for survival. The ocean below, dotted with debris and drifting life rafts, became a silent testament to the power of this new American predator. The Hellcat's design, its armored cockpit, self-sealing fuel tanks, and superior speed in dives, made it nearly invincible. Every maneuver it executed turned the tables on pilots who had dominated the Pacific skies for years. Above the chaos, the sun climbed higher. Smoke trailed from burning Zeros, creating streaks across the pale blue sky, while the deafening roar of engines and gunfire melded into an almost orchestral symphony of destruction. You feel, almost physically, the sudden shift in air superiority. The balance of power in the Pacific is changing, and the Japanese pilots are the first to realize it. September 2nd, 1943. Mid-morning over the waters near Bougainville. The salty wind whips across the cockpit canopy as Lieutenant James Jimmy Flatley leads a flight of 6 F6F Hellcats on patrol. Each pilot knows the stakes. Japanese air dominance has ruled the Pacific for years, and now they face the new American predator. Through the haze, the first Zeros appear. 30 enemy fighters, their formation tight, their confidence unshaken. But the Hellcats are no longer prey. Flatley signals a classic thatch weave, a tactic devised to counter the Zero's superior maneuverability. You can almost feel the tension crackle like static electricity in the air. Every pilot's eyes scan the horizon, searching for that first break in the enemy's line. The engagement erupts instantly. Machine guns roar, tracer rounds streaking like deadly ribbons across the sky. A Zero dives at Flatley's wingman, Lieutenant Robert Hansen. You can see the panic in the Japanese pilot's movements. He underestimated the Hellcat's ruggedness. In a heartbeat, Hansen rolls into a firing solution, sending a spray of .50 caliber bullets into the enemy plane. Smoke curls upward as the Zero spirals toward the ocean. The Japanese pilots, trained for agility and speed, are caught off guard by the Hellcat's resilience. Armor and self-sealing fuel tanks absorb attacks that would have destroyed any other Allied aircraft. One after another, the enemy fighters are shredded midair. Lieutenant Commander McCampbell rips through a formation of Zeros with deadly precision, scoring 2 kills in under a minute. The sky becomes a deadly dance of altitude dives, evasive rolls, and split-second decisions. From the cockpit, you can feel the difference in the Hellcat's design. Its engine roars without hesitation, its wings hold firm under tight maneuvers, and its guns deliver lethal accuracy. Every pilot begins to sense a shift, not just in the battle, but in the war above the Pacific. The Zeros' confidence crumbles as more of their comrades fall, leaving survivors to flee in panic. Below, the ocean reflects the chaos. Smoke trails from damaged planes, oil slicks glimmer in the sunlight, and life rafts drift silently. For the first time, Japanese pilots realize that their former supremacy has been broken. They were never prepared for an opponent that combined speed, firepower, and durability in a single, terrifying package. By the end of the engagement, the results are staggering. Out of 30 Japanese fighters, 21 lie destroyed or forced into the sea. The Hellcats emerge unscathed, flying in tight formation, engines humming triumphantly. The 13-to-1 kill ratio that will become legendary had begun, and every surviving Japanese pilot would carry the memory of this day like a scar. September 15, 1943. High above the Solomon Islands, a new wave of F6F Hellcats lifts off from the USS Enterprise. The pilots are now veterans, their confidence hard-earned, their instincts sharpened by repeated clashes with the enemy. Among them is Lieutenant Edward O'Hare, a pilot who will later become a name etched in aviation history. Today, though, his focus is simple: survival, precision, and domination. The Japanese, still recovering from earlier losses, scramble fighters to intercept the Americans. But the story of the Hellcat has already spread among the enemy squadrons. Whispers of an American plane that laughs at their acrobatic tricks, that can dive faster, turn tighter than expected, and shrug off bullets, have reached the ears of every pilot. Their once familiar skies feel treacherous and unfamiliar. Flatley's flight approaches a convoy under attack. You can see the glint of metal below, the chaos of ships zigzagging to avoid torpedoes, anti-aircraft fire spitting at the attackers. The Hellcats cut through the smoke and see spray, engines screaming, wings slicing through clouds like knives. The engagement begins. A squadron of 12 Zeros dives aggressively, hoping to pick off stragglers. But the Hellcats have learned to fight differently. They use their superior speed and dives to escape turning battles that the Zeros would dominate. They fight in pairs, protecting each other with overlapping fields of fire. Each maneuver, each roll, each climb is precise, almost choreographed. Lieutenant McCampbell spots a Zero attempting to outflank him. He throttles up, dives behind the enemy, and opens fire. The Japanese pilot jerks violently, but it is too late. Smoke curls from the Zero's engine, and it spins into the water below. Around him, his fellow Hellcats are doing the same, precision attacks executed with deadly efficiency. The Japanese pilots are in shock. They had expected slow, heavy targets, easy prey to test their skills. Instead, they face a plane that counters every tactic they knew, a plane that punishes overconfidence with instant destruction. The 13-to-1 kill ratio isn't just a statistic. It is a living, terrifying reality in the air above the Pacific. Even as the battle rages, the Hellcats maintain cohesion. Their communications are tight, their situational awareness near flawless. Orders are shouted through radios, maneuvers are anticipated, and pilots watch each other six. Every kill reinforces their morale. Every fallen enemy adds to the growing legend of the Hellcat. By sunset, the skies are littered with smoking wrecks. The Japanese pilots retreat, battered and demoralized. The Americans fly home, engines still warm, hearts racing with the thrill of survival and victory. The Hellcat had not only proven itself, it had rewritten the rules of air combat in the Pacific. October 11, 1943. Dawn breaks over the waters near Abao, the once feared Japanese stronghold. The early light glints off the hundreds of naval vessels clustered below, unaware that a new predator is hunting above. From the decks of the USS Lexington, squadrons of F6F Hellcats launch into the sky, engines roaring with deadly purpose. Captain John Jack Smith leads his flight with practiced precision. Each pilot knows that today is different. The Japanese have begun deploying new tactics, desperate attempts to regain the initiative. They fly in tighter formations, attempt surprise dives, and use hit-and-run maneuvers. But the Hellcats have adapted. Their pilots are no longer novices learning on the fly. They are masters of the sky, turning every encounter into a lethal trap. As the first wave of Zeros appears on the horizon, a hush of anticipation spreads through the cockpits. Then, without warning, the enemy dives. Flatley anticipates their attack. signaling his wingmen into a synchronized thatch weave. You could almost feel the tension vibrating through the air, the precise timing required for each roll, each climb, each defensive maneuver. The Hellcats respond with unmatched efficiency. Guns blaze, tracer rounds cutting arcs across the sky. A Zero attempt a head-on pass at Lieutenant O'Hare. He rolls sharply, guns blazing, and the enemy fighter explodes in a fiery bloom above the water. Another Hellcat dives through a formation, targeting multiple Zeros in a rapid succession of kills. The air is filled with smoke, the roar of engines, and the unmistakable sound of destruction. The Japanese are stunned. Their pilots, once confident and mocking, now flee in disarray. Commanders on their bow watch in disbelief as their air defenses crumble under precision and power of the Hellcats. The 13-to-1 kill ratio isn't just maintained. It grows. Reports flood in, dozens of enemy planes destroyed, minimal losses to the Americans. For the first time in years, the balance of power in the Pacific truly shifts. Below, the ocean is a graveyard of twisted metal, drifting live rafts and smoldering wreckage. The Hellcats return to their carriers, wings still warm, engines screaming, their pilots exhilarated but wary. They have won the day, but the war is far from over. Every engagement reinforces the Hellcat's reputation. It is fast, durable, and deadly, a predator that has redefined air combat. The Japanese pilots now face a harsh reality. The F6F Hellcat is a plane built not just to survive, but to dominate. And in the vast skies of the Pacific, dominance is everything. November 2nd, 1943. The morning sun glimmers off the waves near Bougainville once again. From above, the Pacific seems endless, serene. But for the pilot of the F6F Hellcat, every mission carries a hum of danger and the promise of triumph. Lieutenant Commander David McCampbell tightens his grip on the controls, eyes scanning the sky. Around him, fellow aces Flatley, O'Hare, and Smith fly in tight formation, each a master of the deadly craft they now command. By this point, the legend of the Hellcat is well established. Over 5,000 Japanese aircraft have been destroyed by its guns, every engagement reinforcing the aircraft's reputation for invincibility. For the pilots, it is more than a machine. It is a companion, a shield, and a weapon of unparalleled precision. You can feel the adrenaline in each maneuver, the silent communication between wingmen, the unspoken trust that survival depends on coordination as much as skill. The Japanese have tried to adapt, experimenting with new formations and more aggressive attacks, but the results are always the same. Hellcats slice through the skies with relentless efficiency. Smoke trails from enemy planes mark the day's victories, while American pilots return to their carriers largely unscathed. Stories of individual heroics, McCampbell's multiple kills in a single sortie, O'Hare's daring interception of bombers, Flatley's calculated precision dives, spread to the fleet, inspiring new pilots and intimidating the enemy. Yet, the F6F's legacy is not merely measured in statistics. It reshapes the very strategy of air warfare in the Pacific. Japanese commanders can no longer count on air superiority. Every mission is a gamble against a plane that combines speed, durability, and firepower in a way that no Zero can match. The psychological impact is as profound as the physical. Morale among Japanese pilots falters, while American airmen soar with confidence. By the afternoon, the skies are quiet. The Hellcats return to their carriers, engines humming, wings glinting in the sun. Below, the remnants of enemy aircraft float in the water, a silent testament to the Hellcats' devastating efficiency. Pilots climb out of their cockpits, sweaty and exhilarated, knowing they have rewritten the rules of aerial combat. The 13-to-1 kill ratio has become a symbol of American ingenuity, courage, and resilience. As the sun sets over the Pacific, painting the sky in gold and crimson, the legacy of the F6F Hellcat is clear. It is more than a plane. It is a turning point, a silent predator that shattered myths, humbled legends, and secured American dominance in the air. And for those who flew it, every flight was a dance with fate, every victory a step toward victory in the Pacific War.